Good morning. Are you sure this is not too loud? No, is that okay with you? Okay. Well, thank you for being here. My name is Andrea, Provaglio, is somewhere there. You have my contact information over there if you want to contact me later, website, email address. And this is me. You can see I'm using actually the same shirt. I just want you to be sure that it's actually me. And what I do is I work independently as a consultant, and I usually work with IT organizations, and I try to help them move into the 21st century, which means changing their mindset, changing their processes, changing their local culture, and just bring them into the 21st century. That's what I do. And how about you guys? You're all from here, probably from Ukraine, first of all? Okay. Not everybody is from Lviv, I think?
Yes.
Okay, so who came from outside? Ooh, okay, good. It's my first time at this conference, so I don't really know much about it. Have you been here to this conference before?
Yes.
It's a good one? Well, you came back, right? Must be. As you noticed, I'm speaking English. Yeah? You noticed, okay. I'm not an English speaker, I'm Italian actually. But, so I understand very well the problems of understanding a foreign language, because English is a foreign language to me too. But if at any point you want me to maybe slow, during the workshop I tend to speed up. So I start speaking more, speaking faster. If that happens, just give me a sign and tell me, dude, calm down, relax. Okay. We don't understand you. Okay. So if that happens, you just let me know. Okay. And please feel free to ask me questions anytime. So this is a workshop, right? We're going to spend like 4 hours together, which is a long time. And the good news for you is this is an interactive workshop, meaning that you will be doing things. Okay. I don't want to kill you, with 4 hours of talking. Really hard for you and hard for me. So we'll be doing things. We'll be using flip charts, for instance. We'll be moving chairs around. We'll be creating small teams. So we'll do things. But before that, I would like to set the theme for this workshop. Okay, so I will be just using a couple of slides. I don't use many slides in this workshop, probably just 4 or 5, and that'll be all. The rest of the work is interactive. Actually, this is a shorter version of a one-day workshop which I have on leadership and self-organization, Agile leadership and self-organization. So, for this half-day session, I selected the things that to me are more relevant when it comes to becoming a good leader, okay, in the 21st century. Do you have any question before we start? Or can you tell me something of what's really interesting for you about leadership and self-organization? Why are you here? That's my question. Why are you here? I mean, it's a wonderful Saturday. I mean, it's sunny outside, it's springtime. Lviv is a beautiful city. So why are you here? Why are you investing so much of your time?
Find out something new, how to lead the team,
Okay.
how to be a true leader.
Okay, thank you. So learn something new about leadership and leading the team. Okay.
To improve some leader skills and to work better with our teams.
Okay, to improve your skills. Okay. So you two have teams, right? You have teams, the two of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Also improve process of development and management in our companies.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Also improving the process of development and management in companies.
Okay, improving the management process and the development process inside the company. Yeah, hello?
To share knowledge and to hear like in other cases,
Okay.
different companies.
Okay, that's a good point. So it's not just me talking, but it's also you talking with each other. Which, as you can see, it's one of the things I put up there, talk and share. You see the green thingy up there? Yeah. I use these things a lot. You know those? They're called statis. They are electrostatic sticky notes. Very, very useful. because they could put them anywhere. So, and I use them a lot in, with workshops. Okay, so sharing, learning from your peers, improving the development process, improving your skills, learning something new. Okay, very good reasons to be here on this wonderful Saturday. So, okay, thank you very much. Good. So do you want to get started?
Yeah.
Yeah, you ready? Good. Okay. As I said, I'm just going to use a couple of slides just to set the theme. Are you guys familiar with this lady? She's Grace Hopper. Have you ever heard of Grace Hopper? No. Okay, she was a computer scientist. She was born in 1906 and she died like 15 years ago. So, old lady. She was a computer scientist and she was an officer in a US Navy. In the US Navy, okay? So she knew something about computers and she knew something about leading and leadership. Okay? You might also remember her, or you might be interested to know that when you use the term debug, she invented the term. Okay? Because she was the one who removed the physical bug from the Mark I computer. Okay?
She had a lot of bugs.
Yeah, it was a mechanical computer, so she removed the bug, so it's debugging. Okay? And she said a number of wonderful things. One of the things she said is this one. You manage things, you lead people. Okay? The things you manage. You can manage time, you can manage money, you can manage physical resources, you can manage space, you can manage a lot of things, but people you lead. You don't manage people. Okay? It's a different concept. And she said that we went overboard on management and forgot about leadership. Now, I don't know exactly when she said this, I don't know the exact date of this quote, but considering that she died 15 years ago and she was very old, I assume it was a few decades ago. Okay? So, a few decades ago, it was very clear that we went overboard with management. So we focused too much on management and forgot about leadership. Okay? And that was clear to her, like, decades ago. So why is that? Well, there are a couple of reasons. There are many reasons. It's a very complex issue. But one of these reasons is this one. Now, the background is intentionally dark, so don't worry. But you might you may figure out that this is a bus stop. You see, this is a bus stop. And this is Mr. Taylor, Winston Taylor, let's say, the father of what we call scientific management. Okay? Basically, Mr. Taylor was the one who invented management in large factories. Okay? He was basically one of the key actors in the Industrial Revolution. And in his factories, they built steel. It's a steel factory. So he would go around and measure times, how long does it take to go from here to there, which is the process, and so on and so on. So, management, okay? Managing the process, okay? Now, what I'd like to point out, and that's the reason why we have Mr. Taylor in the bus stop, is I'd like to take this from a bit, let's say, from some time ago, Let's talk about the craftsman economy. Let's say that you live here in Lviv in the 15th century, okay, or 12th century. So you have a local economy. Okay? Probably you don't have contacts with Japan. I don't assume so. Okay. You don't have contacts with the United States, also because there were no United States at the time. Okay. So it's a different kind of economy. Now you have small economies, probably local economies, okay, and probably maybe you earn your living because you make shoes or any other kind of things. So, or maybe because you're a farmer, so you grow things, okay, you grow vegetables, or you raise cattle, animals, and so on and so on. But basically the concept is that the economy is very contained, and the person who is doing the job is also the person who knows how to do the job. The thinker and the doer are the same person. So if you want to be a good farmer, you need to know how to grow stuff. If you want to make good shoes, you need to know how to make good shoes. Okay? So the person who thinks is also the person who does. Okay? And then the Industrial Revolution came along, And we started seeing a separation of thinkers and doers for the very simple reason that when we started creating the large factories, the number of educated people, people who could understand engineering, understand mathematics, understand chemistry, and so on, in the 18th century, we didn't have many educated people. Most of the people came from local shops, or they were farmers and they moved into the factories, but the people who could understand the process and manage the process were just an elite, right? So we started calling these guys managers, and these guys we called resources, right? That's what we did. We started saying, okay, the thinkers think, and then you have the workforce who does. Okay, so we separated these two categories of people. It was also a different kind of economy, because at that time we started to see very large companies like Ford. Ford used to sell cars everywhere. Okay, so very large markets. Okay, but now in the 21st century, we are in a different kind of economy, because we are in the economy of knowledge, in the information economy, in the creative economy. If you are in IT, you don't build stuff, you create stuff. Okay? We say build. Okay? Oh yes, we do the build. Yes, of course. But you're just moving electrons from here to there. Okay? You're not building anything physical, tangible. Okay? So we have this kind of information economy, knowledge economy, and what we are starting to see, what happened is that the thinker and the doers came together again, because everyone in this room is a highly educated people. Each of us went through at least 12 years of education, at the very least, probably 15, okay? Probably 18 if you went through a master's degree or whatever. Okay? So every person in this room is a very highly educated person. Okay? And the reason is that we need that kind of knowledge to do what we do, because it's complicated. Okay? Creating software or even just making a successful software product is not easy. It requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, a lot of creativity. So we still have managers, of course, because we still are using this model. So in companies, we still have managers, and then we have resources. I never use the term resource for human being. That's me, okay? Usually I use the term person. Okay. We have people, persons, and then we have other things. Anyway, we still have companies that are built on this model, but the truth is, the truth is that today, the person who actually do the job, the developers, the testers, the engineers, they're very educated people who know how to do their job. More or less like in this time. Okay? So this phenomenon, and that's the reason why I put Mr. Taylor in the bathtub, this curve is called Taylor's bathtub. Okay? Meaning that in this time, for about 200 years, for about 2 centuries, we separated thinkers from doers, and now we are trying to bring them again, bring them together again. What changed from here to here? What changed is the economy. The world is very different. In the 12th, 15th century in Lviv, okay, you had micro markets, and now we have global markets. Your competitor can be a small company in Japan, and that could be your competitor. So you have companies that are fighting because the market space now is very tight. Okay? So it becomes extremely critical, it becomes extremely important that we use the ability very, very well. Okay? I see that you guys are taking pictures. Please feel free to take all the pictures you want, and these slides are also on SlideShare. If you search for my name on SlideShare, you will find slides. And also feel free to take all the pictures you want. Okay. So that's something I wanted to mention. The difference is, the things I mentioned are two. Second, that We are trying to bring together different kind of management and leadership because we are bringing together the thinker and the doer again. Okay? And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that management and leadership are two different things. Like Grace said, management is for things and leadership is for people. You lead people, you manage things. Okay? Good. So, I spoke too much. I'm not kidding. This is a workshop. I'm not supposed to be speaking so long. Okay, I have my own backlog here, you see, and this was a kickoff. I've been doing the kickoff. Okay, done. Okay. Now, there is a small activity that I'd like you guys to do, and which is, we will be working in small teams. Okay, we have 5 flip charts. I might need 1, so actually we have like 4 flip charts, but you can share some of the sheets, not a problem. What I'd like you to do is to try to find someone in the room that you did not know when you came into the room. Find new people, meet new people, because we want to share, right? Okay? Yeah, we want to learn from someone who is completely new to us. Hello. So find someone that you didn't know when you came into the room. Create teams of 5, 6 people, more or less. And then spend like 2 minutes to give, actually, spend 5 minutes, and we do 2 things. Number 1, you give each team a name. Okay? So each team will decide their own name. And it could be symbolic or whatever. I had people calling their teams like the A team, or like the Eagles, or whatever. Yeah, sure. The Eagles and so on. So create small teams, give yourself a name, and then find a space to work, find a location for the team. You are totally free to move these chairs wherever you want. So let's redesign the room structure. Okay? Yeah, start now. We have 5 minutes. I'll put on a timer. Are you guys done? Yeah. Just a little question. We have 2 ways to regroup when we do an exercise. So we have 2 ways. One is that I turn up on the microphone and I start yelling into the microphone, like, "Hey!" That's one way. Okay. The other way is that when you see me raise my hand, what you do is you finish your sentence and you raise your hand. Okay, so and if you see anybody else raising their hand, okay, you finish your sentence and you raise your hand. So let's try it. Let's make some noise. Perfect, excellent. So which one do you prefer? Should I yell into the microphone or you prefer the hand?
Both.
Both. Okay. Okay. Plan B is the microphone. Okay. Plan B is the microphone. Okay. Good. So how did it go?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah? Did you meet new friends?
Yeah.
Good. That's part. Okay. So what I'd like you guys to do is to share your team name briefly, so you can introduce each team to each other. Okay. And you can do this in your language if you want to, but must be very, very brief because we don't have much time. So, what's your team name?
Evil Inc. Evil Incorporated. Yeah.
Evil?
Evil.
We have the evil team. Okay, we have the evil team here. Just be careful. Thank you guys. How about you? Your team?
Brainstorm.
Brainstorm. Okay, we have the brainstorm. Hello, and how about you guys?
7 Up.
7 Up. Good. Okay, 7 Up. Brainstorm. Evil. You guys?
Thinkers.
Thinkers.
Yeah.
Good. The thinkers and the brainstormers. Excellent. Okay, you guys?
Minions.
Minions? Minions? Like the yellow? That's a cool name. That's a cool name. And how about you guys?
Fresh. Fresh team.
Fresh?
Yeah.
Because of Good. Okay, good. So, another thing, hello, welcome. Find a team, join a team, or make a new one. Okay, so one thing I'd like to mention is that good. Okay. One way for me to run this workshop and also to teach this workshop is not only by saying things, but also by doing things. Okay? So what I'm saying is that you can learn from how I manage this workshop and see what they do in terms of self-organization. So it's not only what I say, it's also what I do. So in this case, there are, and then of course I would like to point out these things to you. In this case, I gave you autonomy, right? That's one thing I did in terms of self-organization. I gave you the autonomy of rearranging the room as you wish. Okay? And of course, since many of you didn't know each other, it was a bit complicated, and we didn't know exactly how this was going to turn out. We have no idea which shape this room would take. But still, it worked. So I gave you autonomy. But it was not autonomy in the sense of do whatever you want. Okay? I gave you clear constraints. Inside these constraints, you are autonomous. Okay? And the constraints were time constraints. We had 6 minutes. Okay? And then physical constraints. It must be inside this room. Okay? So you want to give it to help people self-organize. You have to give them both. You need to give them autonomy and constraints. Because autonomy without constraints is just chaos. Okay? Autonomy and constraints. These are what we call enabling constraints. They are constraints that enable a certain kind of behavior. Okay? The kind of behavior that we wanted to achieve was to create teams. Teams that we can use during the workshop. So I enabled the creation of teams by giving constraints and autonomy. Okay? So these things, as they come to my mind, I will also write this up. Okay? So one is autonomy and enabling constraints. Okay? And of course, feel free to take pictures of the flip chart as well. Okay? Hopefully you can read my handwriting. So that's one thing. So team names with, oh, there's another thing. That's another important thing in terms of self-organization, which is identity, especially when you work with teams. Identity is a very powerful concept. The reason why I ask each team, like the evil team, you scared me, guys. The reason why I ask each team to give themselves a name is because that creates a sense of belonging. Okay? Now each of you know to which team you belong to. Okay? So this lady belongs to the evil team, and this gentleman belongs to the thinker team. Okay? So it's a sense of belonging. And when people have a sense of belonging, they start working together. They create what we call a social system. Okay? So that's another thing, sense of identity. A sense of identity you can create in many different ways. Also physical location gives identity. Okay? Some people, when I go into companies, people refer to each other like saying, oh yes, the guys upstairs. Okay? The guys upstairs is a physical place. Okay? And that's a sense of identity. Yes, those are the guys upstairs, we are the guys who work upstairs. Or we are the QA people. Because that's another way of creating identity. We share the same skills and we share the same goal, which is quality assurance, and so that creates a sense of identity. Okay? So you want to create a sense of identity because identity is another form of constraint. Okay? It's an enabling constraint. Okay? If people they work just like individuals, they have no constraint, right? I'm free to do whatever I want as an individual. But if I am part of the team, then inside this team there are certain social behaviors, and those are enabling constraints. Okay? So identity is another concept. Autonomy, enabling constraints, and identity. Good. Any questions or comment?
You've told that identity is part of constraint. So why do you this is the part of constraint identity, but you put it as another option?
I'm sorry. It's noisy outside. Say that again, please.
You told us that identity this is the part of constraint. It's like yes, but you put it like another option.
Yes. Because it is both. Identity is a very strong concept, but that's why I wanted to put it separately, because it's a very, very, very important. And it is also another form of constraint.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Hello, welcome. So just find some people to work with. Just don't go with the evil team. They are evil. Sorry guys, I'm just making fun. Okay. Yeah, ooh, scary. Okay. Any other question, comment? I'm waiting for the system to stabilize. Okay? Are we stable again?
Yeah.
Good. Now, another thing I'd like you guys to do. We discussed, remember the quote from Grace Hopper, you manage things, you lead people. Okay, so I'd like each team to have a conversation, or you can also use, oh, by the way, do we have sticky notes? Do we have more sticky notes? Okay. Okay, so what are you staying?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, you're going, okay. Okay, so I would like each team to have some kind of discussion or whatever, call it brainstorming, or think about what is the difference between management and leadership. Okay, actually, what is the difference between a manager and a leader? Okay, so what is it that a manager does, and what is it that a leader does? Okay, or how do you distinguish from the outside? How can you tell, oh, that guy is a manager and that guy is a leader? Okay, how can you say that from the outside? And we can do this in two ways. Thank you very much. Now we have more teams than flip charts. So some team can use the flip charts and just write it down. Yeah, just leave me that one, and the others can take it. The other thing I can do for you guys is to do something like this. Okay. Let's make this chaotic. Flip chart. What you can, yes, you can use the ball. Yes. So what is that you steal a sheet from one of these, from the other teams. Okay? I'm not kidding. Go now and steal one sheet of paper. They can do, but I think they do. Okay, thank you.
Давайте я буду просто
Okay.
Guys.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to stop you because we could go on forever with this conversation, and that's not the point. The point is to come up with a few good ideas. First of all, thank you very much for writing in English, because my Ukrainian is not good. So thank you very much. Anybody will, okay, so what we're going to do is like this. We can give a quick round and see if there is anything in common between the different teams, okay? So, for instance, let's start with this one. You say that manager controls, the leader
Motivates and inspires.
motivates and inspires. Anybody else? Something like that?
Almost.
All of us, okay. Okay, good. So you see there's something, even though you didn't talk to each other, you have something in common, okay? Manager controls and leader inspires. Do you have anything from that team?
Yes, we have same.
Okay, something new.
Something new. Result, mission, values.
Result, mission, okay. So what you're saying is the manager is about the concrete results and the leader tends more to share the goal.
Yeah, the vision.
The vision, okay. Anybody else has something similar?
Everyone does set tasks and sets goals.
Set goals and challenges, okay. So that's another difference. Usually a leader explains why, okay. The leader explains where, that's what we're doing. No, sorry, let me rephrase. The leader is not about what we do, it's about why we do it, okay. This is our goal. And then there could be different ways of reaching the same goal, and that's the what we do. But what's important is the why we do it. Now, in terms of self-organization, that is called an attractor. Remember, I was telling you that we use enabling constraints. This is going to be complicated with the camera. Okay, we use enabling constraints, but we also use attractors. So an enabling constraint is like saying, for instance, we need to get this thing done in 6 months because that's the budget. Okay? The budget allows for 6 months of work. That's a constraint. And the goal is, there's an attractor. Okay? It means that whichever decisions we are going to make, that will be guided by this attractor, which is our goal. Okay? And that's the way that the self-organizing system stabilizes. Okay? Because if you give autonomy to people, you create a self-organizing system, you still want the system to go in a certain direction and within certain constraints. Okay? And given constraints and direction, they have complete autonomy. Okay? They have complete autonomy inside the constraints and in that direction. Okay? Good. Anybody else? Something new from some other team? You guys, do you have something new?
For example, manager is a boss and leader is a friend.
So the manager?
It's the boss and the leader is a friend.
Ooh! So, okay, the manager is a boss and the leader is a friend. Okay. Do you have something similar? Anybody else?
We have a leader is a part of the team, but manager usually is the head and is outside of the team.
Okay. So the boss is outside of the team, the leader is part of the team.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else has something similar?
Inside and outside.
Outside and inside, okay. Some people are very careful when to use the word friend, because it's a very good thing if you have friends at work. But even if you don't have friends at work, it's still work. Okay? So I mean, you could have a good working relationship with someone and work very well, even though you're not friends. Okay? Because one is a personal life, the other one is a professional life. Okay? But I think I understand the meaning of it. Okay? Is it more like part of it or not part of it? Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe both of them are bosses, but a leader is the person who you set him to be the boss and manager, the person who was who probably you are not going to accept.
Yep. Okay, let me elaborate. For instance, I don't know if anybody has something like that, but usually a manager is appointed and the leader emerges. So a manager is a position. Okay? Usually it's on your business card. Okay? It's a corporate position. But as a leader, it's something that you do. Okay? It's not something that you are inside the company because it's written on your job description. Okay? It's just something that you do. In fact, my friend Stephen Parry says that leadership is an activity, it's not a position.
No, we have such point, formal role and informal.
Formal and informal, or anyway, leadership is something that you do, it's an activity. It's not a job. Okay? Anything else? You guys?
You just described the manager's role and leader is a talent.
Okay, manager is a role and leader is a talent.
This role, the leader is where we are going, and the manager how to get there.
Yeah, which is similar to setting the goal or telling people what to do. What you do and why you do it. Okay, so it's something that's good. Okay, anything else?
Trust and obey.
Yeah, trust or obey. Yeah, trust or obey. I use two other words. What you call obey, I call compliance. Okay? So if you have a boss and the boss sets the rules, you need to comply to the rules. Okay? That's compliance. But what you want from people is engagement. You want people to be engaged, okay? To feel part of something, to contribute actively. Okay? And also because you trust your leader or whatever. So another difference between management and leadership is that management is about compliance and self-organization or leadership is about engagement, getting people engaged. Okay. Anything else? Some team? Yeah.
I wanted to say that manager usually uses resources, but they don't grow people.
Okay, yeah. So management is about, I need 2 FTE for this. Do you use this horrible term, full-time equivalent, FTE? Oh, good. You guys are still sane.
Can be similar to the previous topic. People have faith in religion. If we're talking about managers, they have to.
So you're saying that with manager they have to
follow.
They have to follow.
But
As leader,
as leader,
they have faith.
they have faith and they just follow.
Yes, faith or trust, as they say. You trust the leader, you have faith in the leader. Yeah, exactly. And you're saying that the manager is more about using people as resources, and a leader is about developing people.
Build the team.
Yeah, the team and the competence and the skills and so on, so on, so on. Good, excellent. So the coffee break is in about half an hour. Okay. There's another thing I'd like you guys to do. Oh, by the way, the things you just mentioned, they are also, some of the things are also in my slides here. Okay, well, Taylor, we know about Taylor. And this list here, These come from previous workshops that I gave. So these come from attendees. This is not my list. I selected some of the things that they said. And as you can see, even people you even don't know about, okay, they have a similar vision. The manager is appointed, the leader emerges. The manager tells people what to do, the leader explains and shares the vision. The manager controls the environment and the leader provides resources, not just people, but physical resources. Okay? The manager delegates. Okay? So do this for me. Okay? But the leader fosters autonomy. So that's the goal, and do whatever you want, but that's the goal. Okay? Okay, we'll see that better later. The manager expects results. You also have results, and the leader removes obstacles. I try to facilitate your work. I try to make you work better, okay? To help you work better, okay? Some people said that the manager pushes and the leader pulls, okay? And that's an interesting one. Managers usually evaluate subordinates. They evaluate their reports. So they give you, like, okay, so last year, this is how you worked, and blah, 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 blah. In some companies, it's the opposite. Leaders or managers are evaluated by their people. And then if they perform well, or if they are just doing a good job as a leader, they stay. Otherwise, we select a new one. So leaders need to be approved by their people to be a leader, which makes a lot of sense to me. Okay? It's very hard to step into a room and say, okay, now I'm your leader now. You're not going to work probably, right? Good. So that's one thing I wanted to tell you. There's another thing. Okay. Oh yes, the reason why we are stressing so much this idea of self-organization is because with self-organization you also get a couple of other things. First of all, you get collective intelligence. Because when you, maybe that's a good idea. See? Self-organization in practice in just 1 hour. Okay. Remember, I was telling you that the market has changed, the world has changed. Now there's a lot of competition, and it's a competition in the knowledge economy, in the creative economy, and so on. Now that means that if we want to be successful in our company, we are successful with our products, we must get the best out of people. But not of the single individual, from the collective intelligence of the people. And for me, the definition of collective intelligence is very simple. It's when one head plus one head is more than two. 1 plus 1 is more than 2. Okay? If you're able to do that, if you have more than 3 people, so if you have 3 people working together and they think better than 3 people, okay, that's collective intelligence. Now, it's very hard to have collective intelligence if you tell people what to do. If you don't give them autonomy, you cannot have collective intelligence. If you direct people, it's basically your brain and their hands. But what we want is everybody's contribution with their intelligence, experience, skills, creativity, and so on. So that's why self-organization is so important, even from the point of view of a competitive advantage. Okay? One thing that Peter Senge said like 20 years ago is that on the long term, the only true competitive advantage of your company is its ability to learn faster than the competition. If your company learns faster as a social system, you are in a good position, you are in good standing. Okay? So that's why self-organization is so important. And what's the story that software development is not developing software? The thing is that software development, developing software is the act of developing software. But if you think about it from the point of view of the economics of software development, Oh, by the way, you guys are all in IT, right? Or not necessarily? More or less, no? Anyway, it's a service industry you work in, or is it a
Service.
service? Okay, so it's intellectual.
Yeah.
Okay, so. But in IT, for instance, the economics of software development are very simple. What you want to do is you want to produce the least amount of code. Why the least amount? Because producing code is a cost. Okay, code is a cost. You need to produce the code, you need to maintain the code, you need to change the code, you need to document the code. It's a cost. Code is a cost. So you want to keep the cost low. So you want to produce the least amount of code that at the same time generates the maximum original value. Now, why it has, well, of course you want to produce value, right? Business value. You want to write, let me put it another way. Some people said, so a guy said, features are an asset. I see you now. Features are an asset and code is a liability. What did you want to say? I didn't see.
Very good Russian word there is. Только ленивые люди работают по-настоящему хорошо. Чтобы быстро избавиться от задачи и больше ее не придется.
So lazy people work really well because they want to do the job faster to get rid of it.
Okay.
And good to not rewrite, redo this.
Yeah. Oh, which is the last part. Yes. Thank you. I had no idea, but now I have some. Okay.
We'll teach you.
That's challenging. Okay, so as I was saying, a guy said features are an asset, features, software features are a value, and code is a cost. And also, since there is a lot of competition, your features must be original, meaning that it is pointless for you to produce a product which is exactly like the competition's product, right? It must be something different, something new, something that fulfills a need that others want. Okay? So you want to produce the maximum original value with the least amount of code, and code that doesn't come back, meaning that there is no defect. Because if there is a defect and it comes back, you need to rework it. Okay? So it's very challenging. Write the least amount of code, generate a maximum result with maximum quality. Okay, very challenging. Which is why you can really see that it's not right. Actually arts and crafts. Okay? Developing software development is actually arts and crafts. It requires creativity, skills, enthusiasm, and so on and so on and so on. All these things you cannot have if you tell people what to do. If you just tell people what to do, you are completely missing the point. Because I will never know what this lady thinks if I just tell her what to do. And I never get her contribution, possibly spontaneously, because she's engaged. She is part of the ecosystem. Anyway, so I spoke too much again. Let's do something practical. And we need to do this like in 10 minutes again. Yeah, I think 10 minutes are okay. Then we'll regroup, and then at 11:30 we'll have a coffee break. How long is a coffee break? Half an hour? Half an hour? Okay. So, here's what I'd like you to do. It's a bit more challenging than the previous exercise. I would like each team, including the evil team, to come up with a list of things, activities, or challenges, or tasks that you see on your job, or even something that it doesn't happen. Let me give you an example. One thing that we do frequently on our job is we fix bugs, okay, fixing bugs. Or we have a critical problem on the production system, okay. Now the New York stock market is stopped because of me. That's a problem. Okay. Or it could be something like we hire a new guy. Okay, and then we need to place this guy into the company. Or it could be something like the water pipe broke, and now there is water running everywhere in the office. Okay? So something from extremely unexpected and catastrophic to something extremely trivial, something that happens every day, like we need to change the water bottle. Okay? In all this spectrum, from something extremely unusual and catastrophic to something very ordinary. Okay? Try to create a list of, let's say, 10 of these things that happen at work. 10 for each. Yes, and we could write 1,000,
Yeah.
but so that's an enabling constraint. Okay, so only the 10 good ones. Okay, the 10 that make sense for you. Okay, good. 10 minutes. Done. You're getting better. Much better. Congratulations. Then again, sorry if I had to interrupt you, but we could go on forever, but we don't have forever. So how was it? By the way, my apologies, because I realized that my instructions were not very clear, and so a couple of people came and asked me questions, but I think that in the end, everybody did what was supposed to do. So basically the idea was to have a list of 10 items, okay, and which go from the very unusual to the very ordinary. Okay, very unusual things on the job and very ordinary things on the job, and to have like a scale. Okay, which I understand is more or less what you guys did. Is that right? My timekeeper. Okay, do you have any question about what you just did? Do you have any questions? Okay, so to give you an idea, this is what some people did in other workshops. Okay? So, yeah, some people wrote, okay, someone quits, that's an example, or here's a new project request, a feasibility study, so a critical bug. Slackers, latecomers, are you familiar with the words? Slackers are people who don't really work very hard. Okay. And latecomers are people who always show up late at meetings. Okay. Risk mitigation, missed deadline, alien invasion, that's one of the very unlikely things, very unexpected. Okay. Or teams on strike. Okay. We won't work, we will not work, we will not work. Okay, stuff like that. Good. Okay, that's something that some other people did in the workshop. Now, so the next part of the exercise, which I think we're probably going to do no, we have time. We have time. We can do it now. So that's the next part of the exercise. I would like you to take your sticky notes, okay, and put them on this space. Okay. So down here, so you want to create like a quadrant. Okay. In this corner, you have situations in which there is an answer, so there is a clear answer that we can all see, we all know what the answer is, and we agree. Okay? So, for instance, there is no coffee, buy coffee. Okay? Something like that. Okay. Here, you have a situation for which you need an expert or you need to do some experiment, some research. Okay, like a critical bug. Okay, you need an expert or you need to try something. You need to do research. Okay, up here you have situations for which there is no right way. There is not necessarily one way to do things. There could be many different ways. Okay, there are many different approaches, and we just don't know what to do exactly. Okay? And down here, you have situations in which it's just impossible to see what to do. Like, for instance, in which of these one for you would go impossible to see what to do? Which of these one? Alien invasion. Okay, alien invasion probably goes here. Okay. Spaceship here in the park. Okay, just don't know what to do. Okay. Or what could be very, very trivial for you, like
Critical bug.
critical bug, or
Someone kills.
yeah, some people put new project request here because they have a process. You know, every time there is a new project, we need to follow these steps. Okay, it's an example. So what I'd like you guys to do is more or less the same. You create your own quadrant, and you place things like this. Okay. So you can consider each of these corners as if it were a magnet. Okay, and you have your sticky note that is attracted to one of the magnets depending on what's on the sticky note. Okay, can we do this by 11:30? Which is 6 minutes from now. Okay, go. You're getting better. You even finished before the slot. Good. Yes, thank you. How did it go? Was it okay? Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to use this thing we just did for another development of this exercise that we'll do after the coffee break. Okay. So just leave everything there. We'll continue after the coffee break. I just want to know, was it easy enough for you? Was it clear? I mean, there was a lot of discussion, which is okay. We need discussion. A team here. These guys, the thinkers, they ended up with one sticky note, which they just didn't know where to put, so they left it in the middle.
No, we knew that we can put it in any part.
Could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so it fits in the middle. Okay, which is perfectly fine. Do you have any question with this part? I mean, can we consider it done for the moment? We continue later? Okay. Now, before we take the coffee break, I have two things for you. Number one, I have an assignment for you. Something I would like you guys to do, if you can. During the coffee break, please think at what are your expectations for the second part of this workshop. What you would like to learn in the second part of the workshop. So when you come back, you tell me, and I'll see what I can do. Okay?
Each team or each person?
Individually. So individually think about what you would like to learn in the second part. I cannot make promises, but I'll try. The other thing is I need a feedback. How did we go so far? How much did you enjoy the first part? So raise your hand, just give me a 1 to 5. Just raise your hand openly. How much did it? Okay, 4, 3, 5. Don't be shy. I mean, I can take feedback. That's my job. Okay, 4. Okay, good, excellent. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Still, sorry, there is still room for improvement. I didn't get all 5s. Okay, so when you come back, tell me what can I improve. Okay, what I can improve to make it a 5 for you. Okay. Shall we get started? Yeah. Okay. Now, in terms of self-organization, what I suggested at the beginning, usually when I run this workshop, so usually I like to take real-life examples, like in this case. Let me explain one thing. Usually when I run this workshop for one day, I never ever set the time for coffee breaks. And what I do is I let people decide when they want to have the coffee break and how long the coffee break is going to be. So the responsibility is on them, it's not on me. So they become responsible for fulfilling their promise. Okay? That's an example. An example of self-organization. You delegate the decision and then they become responsible for their decision. So if they tell me, okay, coffee break is going to be 15 minutes long, okay, I expect people to be back in 15 minutes. But if I set the time and I impose the decision on them, then I cannot expect that they will accept it. And so people are late sometimes, usually. That's an example. An example of how you want to let people have autonomy in decision making so they own the decision. They become part of it. Okay? So the other thing is, there are a few new faces in this room. Welcome everyone. I have a question for the group. How do you want to manage with, I think we have at least 5 or 6 new people in the room. As a group, what do you want to do? The question is, okay, let's see the options. One option is, the newcomers form a new team. Or, the newcomers join existing teams.
It's up to you.
No.
I get to deal with such...
Join existing team.
They will have different roles.
We have 2 free places.
And join existing team, it's okay for us. You have already new newcomers.
It's up to you.
Same
So
time.
The 3 of us, so we can stay out.
honestly, as far as you're happy, I'm happy. Do whatever you want. Okay? I'm just saying that the decision is on you. Okay, the decision is on you. I just want to point out that the room is a bit crowded here, and there's a lot of empty space over there. It's just an observation. From here, from my point of view, it's clear that there is a lot of open space there. Okay, so did you think about how can I improve? Remember, one of the things we did when you went out, I was asking you feedback. Okay, so that's another important thing for a leader. Ask feedback about yourself. If you want to be a good leader, ask for feedback. How am I doing? Am I supporting you rightly? Okay, so, it was very quick in this case. Many people gave me a 5, some people gave me a 4, some people didn't want to share, that is okay. But there's clearly room for improvement, right? Even if it were just 4.5, there's still 0.5 room for improvement. So, what can I improve to make this workshop more enjoyable for you? Do you have any suggestion? You don't have to, but if you do, I'll be happy to hear it. Yes?
Personally, for me, it would be interesting to hear some stories from your experience, like how it works in other countries.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So, yes?
Maybe some like to continue this topic, the good case practice and bad case practice, and some like companies that you work with, some interesting.
Okay. Yes?
I think to share feedbacks, we should join some follow-up for 3 or 5 minutes after each our example.
Okay.
So we will discuss our boards, and then we'll have 5 minutes of follow-up whose board is more relevant, and if we are placing stickers in the right place, or maybe something like that.
Okay. So you say after the exercise, have some time for reflection.
Yeah, but not in the team.
Not in the team.
In the room.
In the room. It's going to be very noisy. But we can try that. Thank you. Thank you. It's a suggestion. Good. Thank you very much. Good. Yeah, one more.
If there are a lot of new people who come here on the second part, could you raise your hands? Yeah.
Newcomers? Yes.
Yeah, could you just in few words tell us what was like
No.
the previous?
Because it wouldn't be honest to the people that were here.
Just a few words.
I'm sorry. I cannot do that.
Few words.
No. I would be using their time inappropriately, and I cannot do that.
Just have a general question to ask. I'm not sure if you have Q&A session. So, my question is like, is it necessary for every team member to have leadership skills, or not really? And if you think that yes, I just wonder what you suggest to help for me as a manager to develop those skills in the team.
Okay. One thing we discussed earlier is that
Is an answer on the question.
Leadership is emergent. So it's not an appointed position. So not everybody has the same leadership style. Not everybody needs to be a leader. But at the same time, it's hard to tell if this guy should be a leader or not. in the team, because it's not a position. It's something that emerges. So, yeah.
And also we were asking about our expectations from
Yeah,
this work.
that was my second question.
Yeah, and my expectation is try to take an answer about the question how to understand for yourself if you are a manager or a leader at the scale, where are you thinking you are and where the team thinks you are.
Okay.
Between the manager and the leader, because there are two point of view and they might be quite different.
Of course, of course. Okay, thank you very much. So the first part about am I a manager or a leader, we are going to explore in the next exercise. And the second part of your question is get feedback, ask for feedback. That's the most important thing. Be open to feedback even when you don't like it. Okay. So yes, expectations. That was the second question, remember? So your expectation is to hear more real-life stories of different contexts. Okay. Other expectations for the second part of the workshop? Something you would like? You don't have to tell me now. I mean, you can tell me later when it comes to your mind. But if you have anything now, I can listen. Yes?
My expectation is to define how to be a leader in a chaos and how to manage this.
Okay.
Like when you have chaos, you must be first leader, and then you will manage this chaos. And how to become a leader in the chaos.
Okay. Okay, I've got that one. Good.
I have one
yes.
presentation too. I'm looking for an answer not to how to become a leader, but I want to understand how to develop self-organization in my team, because they're not all self-organized, and I want to understand how to develop this.
Okay. Okay. So the question is how to develop a self-organization in the team, and yeah, I'll give you some principles, and then it depends on the people, of course. But I'll give you some principles. Okay, good. Excellent. We should get going, I think. It's getting late. If you have any other suggestion, even during the second part of the workshop, just let me know. Talk to me personally during the exercise, whatever. Good. So, actually, continuation of... Oh, no. Sorry. Another thing came to my mind. As a wrap-up of what we did, did you observe anything in my behavior, in the way I speak, or the kind of the way I behave, that promoted self-organization in this room? Did you observe something in me that promoted self-organization?
You always delegate.
Yeah.
I delegate a lot of decisions. Yeah. Yes.
It's always about the coffee break.
Yeah.
I think that you give a lot of possibilities, yeah, and like to make the decisions to the team.
Yeah. So I delegate decision making. Yes. Anything else that you?
Yes, examples. You give us examples.
I give examples, so I give guidelines, but then I let you think about it and make your own decisions.
Asking about feedback.
Asking about
Trying
feedback.
to understand people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that make a free atmosphere, that you like we are okay to tell whatever we want. So it's very important that people feel that they can talk. That no one will tell like, don't tell this, like something like this.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an important point. There is a book which is called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and there is a model with a pyramid of 5 different dysfunctions. The base of the pyramid is lack of trust. Okay.
Auto.
The name of the book?
Auto.
Yes.
The name of the author of this book.
The book is called The 5 Dysfunctions. Oh, the author. Lencioni is a surname. Lencini. Lencioni. Yeah. And what's interesting is that the definition of trust is not that I trust that I can, if I leave my markers here, nobody will steal the markers. Okay, it's not that. Yeah. The trust is that If I make myself vulnerable, you will not take advantage of me. That's the kind of trust that you need in the team. Okay? If I make myself vulnerable, like asking in an open way for feedback is the way to make myself vulnerable, I trust that you will not take advantage of me. Okay? And that's the opposite. I mean, this kind of trust in the team is fundamental. Okay? Trusting your teammates, trusting that they will not take advantage of you. Okay? Make fun of you, make stupid jokes, or stab you in the back. No, trust. Okay, good. Let's move on. This room is very busy now. We might need to use a little bit of that space, but here's the continuation of this exercise. It's about leadership styles. Okay? There are many different ways of being a leader. And you can think about it in terms of metaphors. Okay? Like some kind of leaders are inspirational. Okay? And then you can find, or some are very, like a guru, a master, Gandalf. Okay? Like Gandalf. Or other leadership styles. So I would like you to spend like 3-4 minutes, not longer, to come up with a list of different leadership styles. Okay? Like, so one way of being the leader is being like Gandalf. Another way of being a leader is being like, I remember in a previous workshop somebody told like Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix, the guitar player, and he meant someone who was technically excellent. So technical excellence. Okay. Or whatever. Okay, come up with a list of, let's say, 4 or 5 different styles for being a leader. Or you could just use attributes like you can be a dictator, you could be a guide, whatever. Okay? Now you know how this works. I'm going to set the timer, and when the timer is off, I'll let you know. Yeah? If you can use sticky notes, that's better. Oh, you got really excited about this. So, yeah, you could. Do you need more time? No, I'm serious. Do you need more time, or you have at least 3, 4? Okay. That's fun, right? I mean, I could feel the excitement. Yeah, I remember that guy. He was such an asshole. Yeah, and write it down. Can we share? Anybody wants to share? Okay, we can start with minions. Okay. What's your name? Maria. Maria. Can you come here?
We started from the most known type of leadership is the expert leadership. It can be technical expertise or some experienced leader, just expert leadership. Yes. Then is charismatic leadership.
Hey guys!
Then we wrote evangelist. It's leaders that are very devoted to the ideas and they lead other people after them. Situational leadership, standard thing, and false leader. Someone who thinks he is a leader or considers himself as a leader, but he's not.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys, did you have something that was not in this list?
Yes.
Okay. So, what did you write?
Leader could be dictator.
Dictator, we have dictator, no?
Democratic.
No, we don't get.
Democratic.
Okay.
Delegator. And mentors.
Okay. Well, mentor and expert, they can be the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, mentor and expert are the same. Okay, interesting. So you have quite a few things that they don't have, and vice versa. Okay, interesting. Anybody with something that was not in these two lists?
We have.
I'll start with this one, I guess.
We have like mother style leadership.
Mother, okay.
Caring mother.
Yeah, okay.
Or friendly.
Okay, friendly or mother, caring mother. Thank you. Yeah, you guys.
It was horse leadership.
What?
Horse.
Okay. Whatever.
And friends.
Friends, yes, we mentioned friends or something similar. You guys in the back.
Idea leadership.
We have ideologic leader, like Steve Jobs, for example.
Okay.
Idea. Yeah, idea.
Okay, good. Excellent.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a question?
Yes, we have a question.
We talked earlier that dictators are not leaders, they are managers. Why do we separate dictators as a style of leadership?
Okay, I will answer in a second. Okay. Yes, there was another question?
No, it was not a question, but I disagree. I think that a dictator leader, there is such a position because, for example, Hitler, Stalin, they are dictators and they were leaders.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll come to that point. It's part of what I want to say.
I think we haven't mentioned one, servant leader, the one who served and people love him because he does the same as they do. I mean, at least he shows it.
Yeah.
We have a nice example. It's the president of Uruguay. Yes.
Yes.
The poorest president.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leader, yeah. So I think that should be mentioned as well.
Okay. Can I move this? Okay. So. Let me just use a couple of slides again. There's one thing I want to explain to you that can help you mapping leadership styles. Are you familiar with a model called Cynefin? It's written Cynaf. Cynefin. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to this exercise. Remember, this is more or less what you did in the first part, right? Okay. Now, if you think about it, these 4 areas are like 4 different domains. Okay? And the domains, you see, you can create like this. Basically, you start drawing lines. You say, okay, this cluster belongs more to this part. This cluster belongs more to this part. Okay? And then you have a gray area here, which you had, if I remember correctly, which is when you aren't really sure if it belongs here, there, that could be everywhere, so it's in the middle. Okay? Good. So Cynefin is this model. It's a framework that we use for sense making, not for categorization. Okay? The word is Welsh, and that's why it's pronounced differently from English. Okay? It's pronounced Cynefin. The C is like a K, and the F is like a V, Cynefin. Okay? It's a very interesting framework for understanding, for making sense of complex systems or different kind of systems. So you guys know what a system is, right? A system is a bunch of interconnected elements that show some behavior. So the system displays some kind of behavior because the elements are interconnected, right? Okay. So down here, in this area, you have obvious systems. Okay? An obvious system is a kind of system where you have rigid constraints. So everything is, you cannot change anything. Okay? And an example could be, I don't know. Okay. Let's say that's not an example. The wristband here, okay? The wristband of my watch, this is a simple system, obvious system. Okay, very rigid constraints, and it shows only one type of behavior. Very simple. Okay? Very obvious. And complicated, an example could be not my wristband, but my watch. Okay? This is a very complicated device. Okay? It's totally predictable. Everything is deterministic, okay? But it's very complicated. If you want to understand how it works, or if you need to fix it, you need an expert, okay? Because it's very complicated. But it's deterministic, okay? A complex system is a system where there is no clear correlation of cause and effect. It's a system that generates surprises, okay? An example is a birthday party for 5-year-old kids. Okay? Birthday party for 5-year-old kids. Extremely unpredictable. Extremely unpredictable. Okay? Well, you know that that system has a kind of disposition, yes? Yeah, but I don't want to go there. It's extremely unpredictable. But what you can do is you can provide, remember when I was talking at the beginning, I was talking about enabling constraints? Okay? So you can let the system display a behavior, okay, because you want these kids to have fun, okay? And you set enabling constraints. For instance, the party is in this room, you get out of the door, you are dead. Very clear constraint. Okay? Get out of the room, you're dead. In here, do whatever you want.
Also fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Good. So that's an enabling constraint. And we could use attractors. You could put a television there, and that's an attractor. And the system will move in a certain way, probably. Okay, so that's an example. So you have enabling constraints. There are multiple possible behaviors, but within certain constraints. Then you have the absence of constraints, which is chaos. Okay? If you have no constraint at all, you have chaos. Now, the important thing to understand is that a system can move from one dispositional state to another. So depending on, because systems are alive. Okay? The other thing is that a system can transition from one to another, except, in this case, no complex system automatically moves into obvious. That's impossible. You don't go from chaos to obvious like this. Usually there is a transition. Okay? The second thing is that from obvious you can collapse into chaos, which is the meaning of this small sign here. It's like a cliff. You can fall down from obvious into chaos. A classical example is you take a nation and you have a very strong dictator who is trying to set rigid constraints on the behavior of people, and at some point these constraints are so rigid that the country overnight collapses into revolution, collapses into chaos. Okay? That's a typical example. But it's never the other way around. No revolution went automatically into dictatorship. Okay? It's impossible. So kinetic is very interesting. If you're wondering what is this gray area, is what we call a disordered area. Meaning that if something that is in here, you don't know exactly if it is more on this side, more on this side, more on this side. You just don't know exactly. You don't know yet. You don't know yet. Okay? So these are ordered systems. These are unordered systems. And this is disorder. Okay? It's a very nice framework that you can apply to a number of different things. And but then again, it's not a categorization framework. It's not something that you can use to put a label on a system. It's something that you use to make sense of where you are. To make sense of where you are. Because if you make sense of where you are, you can use different strategies. Like for instance, if you are in an obvious environment, your best strategy is to sense, so see what sense, look at my wristband, categorize, because there's a pattern matching recognition, okay, categorize, wristband, and then say respond. Okay, do I need a wristband? Well, maybe not. Okay, sense, categorize, respond. In this case, your best strategy is sense, analyze, respond. You need to analyze, because you need an expert. So open the watch, tear it apart, understand how it works, and then decide what to do. You need to analyze. Okay? In this context, the best thing you can do, since there is no direct cause and effect relationship, the best thing you can do is you can probe the system. You try something, you try a little experiment, and you see if the system's disposition changes in a way that suits you. Like, for instance, birthday party. Okay, let's bring in the cake now. Let's bring in the cake. Okay? And see what happens. Okay? In this case, the best thing you can do is just act, do something. Act, sense. First you act, then you sense. And then you decide what to do. Remember, I'm going to skip a couple of slides that are not relevant at the moment. This is relevant. I'm sorry. No, this is relevant. Management is for complicated things. Leadership is for everything. Because management is for things, leadership is for people, right? Remember that thing? Okay. But that's what I wanted to tell you. The exercise we just did, we also did in other workshops. So remember, we had alien invasion. Alien invasion is clearly something that is chaos. Okay. Other people here put someone quits. Okay. The process for letting someone leave the company is very straightforward because it's dictated by law. Okay, it's very obvious. Okay, and so on and so on and so on. And these are different leadership styles. Okay, that a certain group created. So they have the hero, the guy who saves the day, okay? The visionary, the wise, the charismatic, the role model, okay, inspirational. Laissez-faire, which is French. It means do whatever you want. I don't care. Okay. The caring mother, the expert, the dictator, the coach. Okay. Different styles. And there are more, of course. You created more. You created more. Okay. This is just an example. Now, the next part of this exercise, which we are not going to do here because we don't have time, would have been to try to associate different styles with different activities and different contexts. Okay? We're not going to do that here. We don't have much time. But this is what the group did. Okay? So, for instance, they decided that in chaos, dictatorship is the best possible strategy. Okay? Because the purpose of the dictator in chaos is to bring the system from chaos to something that becomes manageable to some degree. So, if chaos is a crisis, okay? That's the point. Chaos is a crisis of some kind. The good thing is that a crisis usually don't last long. Okay? And the reason why a crisis don't last long is because no system can stay in chaos for long. No system can stay in chaos for a long time. Okay? So the role of the dictator is to make decisions fast. And the fastest way to make a decision is to let one person decide. If you go through a democratic process, you get better decisions on a longer time. Okay? So the fastest way to make decisions is to have someone make a decision. Now, it's not really important in chaos, in a crisis. It's not even really important if it is a good decision or not. Because the purpose of making a decision is to bring constraints and move into this area. Okay? Is to create again enabling constraints, because in this area you have absence of constraints. Okay? And absence of constraints is not good. I mean, not for a long time. So, dictatorship, perfectly fine. Only in chaos, only for a very short time. Okay? The visionary of these guys, of course, you may agree or disagree with some of these sticky notes. It's their opinion, okay? And you may have your opinion, and that's perfectly fine. It's just an example. So, visionary or charismatic or the coach in complex environments makes sense. It makes sense to be a visionary and say, okay, let's do something. Okay, let's try this. Why? There is no clear evidence that it's going to work. I don't care. Let's do it. Okay, let's do an experiment. Let's try this. Okay? Complicated? Well, any kind of expert fits very well in the complicated domain. Okay? Let's go back one slide. More. Yeah. So what they're saying is, for a feasibility study, for a critical bug, you want an expert. Makes sense to me. You don't want a dictator here, for instance. Okay? You don't want a visionary person trying to fix a critical bug. Okay? Let's go back here. Laissez-faire, do whatever you want, I don't really care, is perfectly fine, only in obvious domains. Only when it's clear, everybody agrees what needs to be done, okay, do it, I don't care. Okay. Now the most important thing is that you observe how different leadership styles belong to different contexts. And the worst thing you can do is to use the right style in the wrong context, or vice versa. Okay? To use the wrong style in the right context. That you do not want to do. Okay? And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I would like you to reflect that all of these are not identities. It's not what a person is. That's what a person does. So you want to separate behavior from identity. Okay? Nobody is a dictator, or nobody is an expert. They behave like an expert, or they behave like a dictator. Okay? But they are not per se. It's not a matter of identity. Now, this is very important in terms of self-organization, because if you're going to take a leadership position, it's very important that you don't get attached to any of these leadership styles. Do not identify with any of them. These are just different behaviors that each of you can exercise depending on the context. If you understand the context, you can be a good leader, you can use the good leadership style in that context. So for instance, it could be perfectly fine to be a dictator or laissez-faire, or to be even the hero could be fine in certain contexts. Okay? And things change, of course. No? Things change. So a certain situation that started as a crisis, and you can be a dictator in a crisis, moves into complex. And then you can be the wise coach that gives advice so that situation can be brought into complicated. So we just hire an expert and then we are done. So it's a matter of transitioning situations through different contexts. So that's very different from management. It's very different from management. Let me give you an example. Remember the 5-year-old birthday party? Okay. Now let's say that you want to manage a birthday party. So you start with a Gantt chart. Okay. I'm serious. You start with a Gantt chart. Okay. We need to do this and that, and this depends on that, and then you will be accountable for the cake. Okay. And you will be responsible for the TV show. Okay. And then the deadline for the start is 2 p.m. Okay, and we must be done by 5 p.m. and everybody must be happy, and we must stay on budget. Okay? That's not exactly how you. So management is not applicable in that case, right? Leadership is. Leadership is. Good. So what's next? Do you have questions about these comments? Because I hope you had some coffee during the coffee break, or tea, some form of caffeine. So you might have questions.
So in this example, it looks like a good leader must be some type of manipulator. So in different times, he manipulates his team, not?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question, because it's something I don't have on my slides. Well, I have it on other slides. Then again, in general, I don't like to use slides for this workshop, but I ran out of flip charts. Okay, so I'm using slides. So, to answer your question, I've been a coach, which is also a form of leadership, for a long time. And I ask myself that question. So, how ethical it is to influence people? So, for instance, what is the difference between manipulation and influencing or coaching? Okay? Because what you want to do is you want to change people's behavior. That's what you want to do, right? You want to change people's behavior. But in which way? In which way?
I think influencing, right?
I'm sorry?
You cannot, when you manipulate, you just tell them what to do. I mean, they will not be engaged in the process.
Exactly.
When you show them the example and then when you advise, that's how they can teach something and do what you want, but without manipulation from your side. Am I right?
Yeah, if you give orders, you're not manipulating.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The question is how you get the desired behavior in an ethical way without manipulating people. So, for instance, teaching is one.
Even advice is
teaching is one. Absolutely. But from the ethical point of view, this is my own model. Okay? So I have these two axes here. So the first one is, whatever I am doing, am I doing that for myself or for them? And for myself means, am I doing this to fulfill my own needs, like because I want the money, or because I want to my ego wants to be satisfied by this idea that I'm a good coach. Okay, so is it to fulfill my own needs or is it for them? So that's the first question. And the second question is, do I have permission to work with these people? Do I have permission to influence these people? And by permission, I'm not saying something written, but I'm saying, is there an agreement? Okay, is there an agreement that I can do this? Okay, and then this is what comes out. Different situations. If I'm doing something for them without their permission, I'm behaving like a parent.
A dictator.
A dictator? Yeah, but I think the closest example is, the dictator is for me. If I do it for me and without their permission, then I am a dictator. I'm fulfilling my own needs. A parent is someone who takes care of someone without their permission, right? When you were 1 month old, you did not give permission to your parents to take care of you, but they did. Right? Yeah. And they did it for you, not for them. Right? Now, the problem is that being a parent on the workplace is a very bad idea. Because on the workplace, we are all adults. There is no parent and child. We are all adults. And we should treat each other as such, as adults. So that doesn't work. If you do it for yourself, with their permission, okay, they are behaving like a child. Like, it's like having a child saying, oh, okay, Dad, what do you think? Can I go to Jamaica for 6 months? And can you give me a lot of money? And I'm not sure if I'll be back. Okay, that's another example. I'm still not sure about this analogy, but that's what I'm using at the moment. Manipulator or dictator is you do something for yourself without their permission. So you try to convince people, play mind tricks, do something so that you get the desired result for yourself without an agreement. And but I think that the only ethical thing to do is to do something for them with their permission. That's the only ethical approach to influencing people. So you honestly do something for them, and it's clear that you have an agreement that you can do that. Okay, that's the only ethical approach. Part of this ethical approach is to create an environment where you don't know exactly what is the best behavior. Remember, I'm going back to the concept of complex systems. Remember, for complicated situations, we might have an expert that is telling us, okay, that's the right thing to do in a complicated environment. But in complex environments, you just don't know. You need to try. You need to run experiments, or you need to let people decide for themselves, which is part of what happens in complex systems. So for you, you're part of a team. You develop a product. You're responsible for the quality of the product, for the features, and so on. Some decisions I totally delegate to you. Okay? And it's in your interest, because so you learn, and it's also you see what I mean, right? Let me restate this. As a leader or as a coach, you do not always have the right answer. Okay? Because in certain situations, there is no right answer. And the best thing to do in those situations is just to try different things together with your people and find out what's the best thing to do together. Because you don't have the answer. Yes?
But also, if we're talking about the main goal of the business, it's making money.
Mm-hmm.
And in such situation, the main goal is to ask them, make what you need, and it's main goal for you. And it's first one.
Mm-hmm.
And only after that you can manipulate or call it other word and make something for them. You can tell you will be success, you will be something else, but you need to do this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or not?
No, I understand what you're saying. Let's say that profitability is a necessary condition for companies. Okay? A company that is not profitable will die. Okay? So it's like me not eating food. If I don't eat food, I will die. Okay? So I need money to buy food. That's okay. Eating is not the reason why I live. It's a way in which I survive. Okay? I need food to survive, but it's not the reason why I live. I do not live for eating. I live by eating. Okay? Now, many companies, they have lost this difference. They think that we exist to make money. No, you exist, you need money to exist. And then there's more. There could be the service that you give to the community. There could be the way you impact on people's lives. There could be many other different things. But there are many companies whose primary mission is not to make money. It's a necessary condition. We need to make money, and we need to provide a good service because we want to contribute to the society. So, yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking loud about what you said. Because, of course, if this team has autonomy, that autonomy must integrate profitability. Okay? It must be clear, it's part of your goal. Okay? Guys, as a team, we need to make money. If you want your salaries, we need to make money. Okay? And you can also have the autonomy to create something beautiful, which also makes a lot of money and also makes a lot of people happy.
But still, for company, it's if a company makes something for people, a lot of for people, but they will don't give money for company, we don't have a future.
Absolutely. That's what I said. Profitability is a necessary condition for companies. They must be profitable. There are companies that are profitable and they do a lot of, for example, Merck. Merck is a large pharmaceutical company. They make a lot of money and they give away medicines for free in poor countries. It's not a contradiction. We do make a lot of money, but since our main goal is to preserve and improve human life, we also give medicines for free. Because that's our main
way of experiments.
That I don't know. No, I don't know that. No, I don't have an answer. I don't know that I've done so well. But you see, that's the point. For that company, for Merck, their mission is, I remember, if I remember correctly, they said, we are in the business of preserving and improving human life. Okay? We are in the business, money, of preserving and improving human life. So we need to do both. We need to do both, not one over the other. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm digressing here. I'm just good. So I was elaborating on this concept, the questions that you asked as a leader. How, up to this point, can I influence or manipulate people? And then again, this is a very simple model that in real life things are more complex than this. But in general, the idea is, if you do something for them and something with their permission, then why not? Why not helping people to work better? Good. Let me check my backlog. Okay, engagement. Do you have any question before we move on? We finish at 12? 12. No? I'm sorry, yeah, 12. Yeah. 2. So 1 hour from now. Good. Excellent. Do you have questions? I'm thinking about what I should do next, considering my backlog. But do you have any question in the meantime?
Could you please tell regarding your backlog, have like the role of the self-organization or the rating leader? Did we talk about it, or you will talk about it in the future? Because this is something that I am interested in.
Okay.
And I would like to understand if you will cover this, or it was covered but I didn't recognize.
Okay. Yeah, that's just a title for myself. For me, the role of the self-organizing leader is, for instance, the difference between management and leadership, the different contexts, and so on. Okay. But if there is something more specific that you're interested in and that is interesting for the audience, yes, we can talk about that. Do you have a specific question in mind?
I think no. I think like specific no, but I would. It was interesting. What do you mean under this? Like the role. Like sometimes for me, I think that maybe I organize my team too much. Like I do too much by myself and not maybe to ask feedback and other things. But I thought maybe you can, maybe there is something else that I need to know in order really to have a self-organizing team. Because I think that a first step is to have a self-organizing leader, and then the team will do something like this and will be responsible for their tasks.
Okay. Let's see if I can suggest something. The role of a self-organizing leader includes providing all the resources that people need to work. Okay? So, or at least trying to. So if people need more fresh air, to attend this workshop, I'm supposed to notice that. Or maybe people can come and ask you, okay, you know, it's too warm in here, can we do something? Okay. So provide resources for people to work. That's one thing. The second one is be in a feedback loop. So get feedback from people, feedback about yourself. The third one is be available anytime they need you. Because since you are not there to control people, you are not there asking people, so what do you do this morning? Okay? It's 1 p.m. How did you spend your time? Okay. So you don't do that, right? Okay, good.
What happens if you do so?
You get demotivation. We will talk about motivation in a second. But the best way to take away responsibility from people is to constantly tell them what to do and constantly direct people. If you direct people all the time, they will take no responsibility. And if they don't take responsibility, they are not engaged. Okay? The best way to take away responsibility is to direct people. Tell them what to do, ask them what they are doing, tell them what to do and ask what they're doing. The worst thing you can do, if you want self-organization.
What if you have deadlines and you need to do it sometimes?
Transparency. The reason why in Agile software development we like to use very big, large boards, okay, like task boards or any kind of information, what we call large information radiators. Okay, that's a technical term. Anything that you can stick on a wall and you put everything there, and that could be your backlog, that could be your task list, your bug list, could be metrics. If you do velocity, you show the velocity, impediments. Yes, no, that's okay. You can use an electronic tool like Scrum Desk. Some people use just Trello, some people use Jira, some people use version 1, some people and there are plenty. Okay, but it's very much different if you take 10 meters of this wall and you start sticking information on the wall. It's impossible for people not to see the information. And that's the point. You make it visible to everyone, including managers. Managers don't need to come to people and ask, so how's it going? Are we on time? How much work is left? Are we on budget? Okay? They don't need to ask this information all the time because it's there. It's on the wall. Okay? It's visible to everyone. Okay? So that's another way. Transparency. Make things visible. Make them available, accessible. Ricardo Semler was one of the first ones experimenting with, let's say, flat organizations, like 25 years ago. And then Netflix started doing something similar, and other companies, Zappo, and so on. One thing they used to do like 20 years ago was just to let everybody know how much money everybody in the company was making. That was public information in the company. And it was a company with thousands of people. Okay? So everybody's salaries and expenses and so on, it was publicly available because there was a computer in the cafeteria. And so everybody could know everything about how much other people were being paid. And everybody was allowed to set their own salary. Because what he said is, to decide your own salary, you need to know three things. How much money the company is making, to see if you can afford your salary. How much money we make. How much money other people in the company are making, and how much money in general on the market is paid for your position. Okay, these are the three things you need to know. Okay, can we afford it? How much your colleagues are making, and how much people in general are making. And then you decide your own salary. And be aware that your decision will be visible to everyone. Okay, so if you set your salaries 3 times higher than other people, everybody will know. Okay, that's an example of transparency, self-regulating system. It's a self-regulating system.
Yeah, but there is risk that some person still don't care about
Yes. Yes, and in that case, you go from the complex domain, you go into the crisis. Because if I set my salary 10 times higher than the CEO, okay, we go into a crisis, and in a crisis situation, you can be a dictator, and that's fine. As long as it is complex and self-managing, you don't need to do anything. The system will take care of itself. If it starts to collapse, you need to take corrective actions. It's very simple. Yes, my lady.
Do they still manage their company the same way? Is it still the same way that they control the...
I think so.
salaries?
I think so.
So they are successful in this in the way.
Yeah, the company changed a lot over the last 20 years. And frankly, I don't know. I haven't read much about them in the last 5 years or so. But I think, remember when we were saying that leaders should be selected by the people they are going to lead? They do the same in their company, even at the C-level. So for instance, Ricardo Semler, who was the CEO, he said he hasn't been CEO for the last 10 years because people selected other leaders, and that's fine with him. Okay, if they found someone better than me, that's fine. Okay, the company will survive better if they find someone who works better as a CEO than I do. Okay.
It is impossible to do in Ukrainian situation.
Of course, I'm talking about principles here. I'm not talking about specific implementations, because even here in Ukraine, I assume that a startup could implement some of these principles and nobody would complain. No?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because of the government and external environment.
Yeah, okay. If you need to follow regulations and law, that's not a different story. But I'm telling you real life stories, right? You asked for that. A company that I know decently is ThoughtWorks. I don't know if you guys are familiar. They're a large software delivery company, starting in the US, then they're into Europe and India and so on. Now they are a global company, about 3,000 employees. Probably the best Agile delivery company around, one of the best in terms of Agile software delivery. And they do other things as well. But one thing they do is every time they open in a local market, so let's say that ThoughtWorks comes to Ukraine. So they open a company, a legal entity in Ukraine. Okay. Now, by law, if you have a legal entity, you must have a CEO, by law. Because the CEO is legally responsible for the company. And that they do the same. Okay? Except that they have the legally responsible CEO, and then they have the co-CEO. Because the company is always run by two CEOs at the same time, because they don't want to have one person making all the decisions by himself. So it's always a budding system. You have a buddy all the time. Okay? So one is legally responsible outside, but inside they are equal. Okay? And they make decisions together all the time. So they fulfill the legal requirements and they design their own ecosystem in the same way. Oh, yes.
Can you explain what it means to be available every time, even like it takes you at night?
No. Sorry. Oh, so the question is about, previously I said, as a leader you're supposed to be available anytime. What I meant is anytime at work. Anytime which is inside your official duties. Now, if you're supposed to be available during the night, because you are part of the crisis team, then people can call you at night because you're part of the crisis team. But that's not what I meant.
But actually, with your case when engineers often comes near evening, and because they want some quiet place to work in. And then with your case when you're at home, it's like 11 p.m. and he's just start coding and asking you some questions. If you not answer, then he will don't know what to do. And like I think that you must be able every time when people are asking you about some working process.
I don't know. Are you happy with that? I mean, you personally, are you happy with that? Okay? So that's fine with you, and that's okay.
And like, because it's generate profit to whole company and to the project.
So why not do that?
If you consider that project managers is a business unit, business soldiers, which again need projects to get money, to get profit, it's a thing we must do.
Yeah. I mean, as I was saying, it's a self-organizing system. So if that's fine with you, you're happy with that, the company is making money, nobody's complaining, in your specific case, why not do it?
But like, it's our not professional responsibility, it's our own zone of responsibility and our own understanding who is project manager.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, at the same time, another person, let's take this gentleman here, he might not be happy to be called at 11 p.m. to answer questions from the engineers. So, yeah. So in that case, what do? You retrospect. Meaning that that's another critical aspect of self-organization. If you never retrospect, if you never ask yourself about your behavior, and if your behavior is helping you, okay, then the system sooner or later will collapse. So it's a kind of self-feedback. So in a retrospective, you could, when this gentleman could bring up the problem with the team and say, okay, you know guys, I understand that this is important. At the same time, I have a family, I have 2 small kids, and I cannot take this anymore. What can we do? Okay? And the system will find another solution. Okay? And the best way to have a retrospective, to retrospect, to provide feedback and improvements, is if you institutionalize it. If it make it part of your standard process to retrospect. Okay. Part of your normal behavior is that you do retrospectives. Let's say once a month, twice a month, whatever. But it's part of your regular behavior. So, and that's the way you constantly improve and you work out different... Again, a self-organizing system must observe itself from time to time. A self-organizing system must observe itself and make new decisions. In business. In nature, it doesn't happen, but that's nature. We're talking about business here. We're talking about companies. Okay? Good. Any other question? Because I'm a little reluctant to try and do exercises because there's too many people now in the room and we just had a few flip charts. So I'd rather do other discussions or I'll try to explain something to you, but it's a lot of people now. That's okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that it's like a problem in breaking into smaller groups or flip charts.
No, it's complicated. It becomes complicated. Okay, good. There are 2 things I think could be interesting for you to know. The first one is about motivation. Because motivation is an important part of self-organization. Unmotivated people. Well, first of all, you might want to know that there is a term for that. It's called disengaged workers. Now, disengaged workers are people who come to work, they clock in, and they sit there, and they try to do as less as they can, and then they clock out, okay, and they go back home. Okay, that's an example of disengaged worker. Okay. Now, disengaged workers are a very high social cost. I don't remember the figures now, but someone tried to make the calculations for disengaged workers in the US, and the total is billions and billions of dollars wasted. Okay, because you're paying salaries to people who do not deliver in a correspondent way to their salary. Okay? They are more a cost than a value. Okay? They are more a cost than a value. So engagement is important. Okay? Part of engagement is motivation. So how people are motivated to stay with the company, to contribute to the company, and so on, and so on, and so on. So what do you think motivation is all about? You tell me. So I'm sorry. You tell me. Tell me about motivation. Talk to me about motivation. What motivates you?
Good atmosphere in the team.
Good atmosphere.
Yeah, possibility to develop yourself.
Yeah, it's personal development.
The results of your work.
The results of your work. Okay? The results for who?
Great feedback.
The results of your own work, yes.
For you or for someone else?
For you or someone else whom you inspired to work.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Responsibility maybe some.
I'm sorry?
Some responsibilities that are laid on you.
Okay. Okay, responsibility.
As well as challenges.
Possibility to influence on processes and some development.
Sorry, the possibility of?
To influence on some processes and to develop some new approaches.
Okay, to influence processes. Yes, lady.
When we are afraid of something.
Fear? Fear motivates you.
So scary to not do this because it will cause something.
Okay.
So you get in force energy. So
You get excitement and so on.
just use this.
Okay. Is it? Can I try a different word? Can I say that you like the challenge?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's
Yeah,
better.
it sounds good.
Okay. So you don't like fear, you like the challenge. That counts with fear. Okay. Yes.
Happy team and happy customers. So when happy team and happy customers.
Okay.
So when it is like in the same page.
Yeah. Happy teams and happy customers. Yes.
I believe that when a company has a clear mission and you feel that you're going straight forward to that mission or goal, and when you feel it, that you're very valuable to that company, it really motivates you a lot.
Okay. So the sense of purpose and success and so on. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. There was someone else over there.
Yeah, recognition.
Recognition.
When you feel that you do something important and people know that you're doing something important.
Yeah.
You just feel important.
You feel important. Something makes you feel relevant, important. Thank you. Yes.
Excuse me. When your premium, your work, your money depends on the result of the project.
So you mean that your salary or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Salary or premium or some
Benefits. Benefits.
Quantity depends on the result. On the quantity and so on.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So benefits or money correlated to the results. Okay. Yes, sir.
I think there are two types of motivation. It's from the bad and to the positive one. Like to the positive motivation, it's motivation which you realize, like maybe a place where will you be, or your position, or even your salary. And from the bad, it's like motivation from the stuff that you don't like. It's like punishing, killing your family, like whatever. But just there are two types of motivation. First is what you want. It's like positive, what you will achieve. It's like all the challenges and all the good stuff, all good feedbacks. And another one is motivation from the bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Did you hear this gentleman?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I called you gentleman because you're part of the evil team.
I think this is understanding that you are growing, that you have something new, that it's
Yeah.
not boring.
Yeah. Understanding that you're growing, you're developing.
Yeah, it's not something that you are doing all the time, it's boring, and you don't want to do this because like it is like boring. But when it is something new and it is interesting for you, you understand that you are growing, you are developing talent, like you make some your you are growing. I think that's all what's inside.
The both are ready.
Lady? No, sorry, it was just... it's a joke. He's asking me if I called you lady, since you're part of the evil team. Okay, so you were saying learning and developing. Okay, thank you very much, lady. Anybody else? Okay, so isn't it interesting that most of you didn't talk about money, or at least directly, right? Most of you. And we have a person who also considered money as an important part of motivation. Okay, now there are a couple of things that you probably want to learn about motivation. Can I start with your suggestion about the good and bad stuff and so on? Okay. Remember the Industrial Revolution? Good. I was not there, but someone told me about that. Yeah, okay. One thing that is not so evident most of the time is how profoundly the Industrial Revolution has impacted on the structure of our society, on the structure of our educational systems, and even on our own mindsets. Okay? And let me give you an example. One big achievement of humanity is that in this era, in this age, about 75% of the population of the entire planet is able at least to read, write, and do basic math. Okay, 75% of the population of the planet is able at least to read, write, and do basic math. Okay, which was just inconceivable at the times of Shakespeare. Totally inconceivable. Okay. And the reason why we were able to do that, to reach this high mark of human race, is because we created a mass production system for educated people. In the same way that factories are a mass production structure for producing, for instance, cars. Okay? We have a mass production system for producing cars. We have a mass production system for educated people, and it's called school. Okay, it's called school. School or university or whatever. The purpose of the educational systems are to create educated people in the fastest and most efficient way. Okay, that's their purpose. And to do so, they inherited some of the practices that we see in the Industrial Revolution. Like, for instance, standardization. Okay? If you need to mass produce something, you need to standardize it. Okay? So most educational programs are standard. Okay? If you have an inclination for poetry, I don't care. Our educational program does not include poetry. Fuck you.
Thank you.
Okay? Let me put it another way. Educational system, they cannot take into account variations, okay? Because they need to standardize to be more efficient. Okay. The other thing the educational system acquired from the Industrial Revolution was quality measurement, okay? Which translated into school is the reason why we all took exams, okay? Because we were individually evaluated for our own ability to learn. So the quality of your learning is very high or is very low. Okay, it's a measurement. Okay, and if the measurement is below a certain threshold, we need to take corrective actions. Okay. Now, if you do, that's perfectly fine. If you're building cars, I want my car to have a very high quality standard. I want to drive my car safely. So I want all the components of my car to fulfill certain quality standards. I want that. Okay? But if you do the same thing with a person, with a human being, and you start asking a child, so how did you do with your math exam? Oh, I got a very bad grade. Okay? And then, mom will get angry, and your dad will get angry. Basically what you do is you develop the fear, you develop the fear to make mistakes. That's what you do. You develop the fear to make mistakes. And also the fear to be punished, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now the problem in the 21st century, since we are in a creative economy, is that we cannot afford to lose creativity. We cannot afford to lose people's creativity. And the problem is that it's very hard to be creative if you are afraid to be wrong. You can never do something creative if you are afraid to be wrong, if you are afraid of making mistakes. Okay? So this whole culture of punishing people is actually having a very negative impact on our ability to innovate and create and so on and so on and so on. So, which is why I wouldn't call punishment a motivation, I would call it a deterrent. It's a deterrent so that you will not make mistakes, but if you don't do mistakes, it's hard that you innovate. Because if you're afraid of making mistakes, you're afraid to innovate, to try something new. Okay? So that's one thing. The other thing about money and so on and so on and so on is that it comes from psychological studies, the evidence that when people are making a decent amount of money, so in other words, as soon as you can fulfill your normal needs, like I can have a house, I can have a car, I can raise my children, I can send my children to school, I can take a vacation from time to time, I can have an hobby, and I can pay for my house. As soon as you have a normal life, okay, money is not an incentive anymore. So money is an incentive only if you feel that you're missing something, that you need something more. I want the money because I want to send my children to the university. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay? But it's not the money that you want. It's that you care for your children. Okay, and money is just a way to do that. So as soon as you reach a normal level of salary, which allows you to live a normal life, okay, most people are not positively influenced by money. Actually, it's the opposite. Most people, the more money you give them, the worse they perform. And this has been demonstrated by psychological studies. Like this. You take two groups of people. One group will just solve puzzles, just for the fun of it. And another group will solve puzzles and they get a monetary reward. Okay? Now, as soon as the reward is very little, okay, I'll give you 1 cent if you solve the puzzle, and I give you 0 cent if you solve the puzzle, there is not much difference. Okay? If you start telling people, I give you $10 if you solve the puzzle, or $100 if you solve the puzzle, okay, and these guys are doing the puzzle just for the fun of it, this group starts to perform the worst. And the reason is that, number one, there is anxiety, the fear of losing the money, the fear of making mistakes. Okay? So you start thinking differently. You don't think as clearly as you think when you are in a creative mood. Okay? Number two, you don't do the puzzle just for the fun of it. You do the puzzle for the money. I mean, you don't care for your work. You care for something else. And if you care for something else and not for your work, you don't do your work very well. Okay? But what really incentivizes people, I'm talking about knowledge workers. I'm not talking about mechanical jobs. Okay? So if you are working on the streets here and you just need to fix the street, okay, then you can pay people by the hour, and you can even pay people by how many meters of street they fix in one day. Okay? Because that's a mechanical task. Okay? But if it is an intellectual task, the more money you give people, the worse they perform, in general. What really motivates people intellectually for knowledge work are basically 3 things that you guys mentioned. And different authors give different names, but basically the first one is called mastery. Basically is knowing that I am getting better and better. If you consider people, people who have an hobby, like they play an instrument at home, okay, and maybe they spend hours and hours of their own time, and nobody will never listen to them, to these people playing, and they are not getting paid, but they do it. They spend hours and hours of their time just to become a better piano player, because they just like it. And they can see the progress, which is what you were talking about, no? Or you were talking about personal development. So knowing that I'm getting better and better at something that I like. Okay, I'm getting better. That's a very huge motivator. The second motivator is called autonomy, and we mentioned that already. Knowing that I can make some decisions for myself. I can self-direct myself to a certain amount. That I'm not completely directed as a puppet. Okay? I can make decisions. Okay? So autonomy, master. And the third one is called purpose. Some authors call that relatedness, which means knowing that what I do is somehow related to someone else. Okay? It's not just for myself. It's for some high other purpose, which is not just me. Okay? So there is a sense of what I'm doing. There's a goal, there's a purpose, there is a meaning, there is something that is important. Okay? So these three things, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, when it comes to motivating knowledge workers, decently paid knowledge workers, okay, when it comes to motivating decently paid knowledge workers, these three things are the most important. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And these are three basic principles, and then they can take different perspectives. Like you said, okay, for me learning is important. Well, learning is mastery. Okay, it's all of mastery. Or well, autonomy we mentioned already, right? Okay, and so I remember there was something about purpose. Who said? Maybe it was you who said.
The results.
Hmm?
The results.
Yes, the result. Seeing that what I've been doing has an effect, okay, for me, for someone else, so there is some kind of relatedness. Okay. These are the three motivators. And then you can give also monetary incentives are fine, okay, but that's a different story. In terms of money, for instance, companies are trying to experiment with different approaches. So rather than giving individual bonuses or individual benefits, what they do is, well, there are different approaches. One is, I can give this guy a bonus, except that he cannot keep it, and he must distribute the bonus inside his team. Okay? So I give you money, and you cannot keep it. It must circulate. Okay? And everybody else will do the same. Transparently. Okay? Transparently. Or in the open. Other companies do something like, we give a bonus not to the person, we give a bonus to the team. And then the team will decide how to use the bonus, how to split the bonus, or what to do with that. Because the idea is that if you need to give personal incentives, you need to start evaluating people. If you start evaluating people, you start measuring people, you know, it's a vicious circle. It doesn't really work. It's not that it doesn't work. It works only to some extent. There are better ways. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that it doesn't work. Okay? Clearly, if I double your salary, you're happy. Okay? That doesn't mean that you are twice as happy to come to work. You're just happier because you have more money. Okay? So these three things are important. So why is that important for self-organization? Because if you, as I was saying, in a self-organized team, people need to be engaged. You cannot have disengaged people in a self-organized team because you give them the freedom to self-organize and then they abuse it. They abuse the freedom. Either they don't cooperate, or they show up late, whatever. You give them freedom and they abuse the freedom. Or you give them freedom and they get anxious, which I've seen many times. Okay? So now you're free to make your own decisions. Ooh, what do you mean? Nobody's telling me what I have to do. And if I make a mistake, what happens? Okay? And they don't want that. So engaged people are a very important thing. Engagement, trust, all the things we spoke about. So then again, how can you promote engagement and motivation in your team? Do you have teams? You guys have teams, right? Okay. So, I'll give you some example of how to promote this kind of engagement, which does not necessarily work for every single person. Okay, you will find people that don't care, but most of them will. And let me give an example. With one of my clients, what we did recently was to create a book club. Meaning that the company bought a bunch of Kindle devices, okay, take books into these Kindles, and people can just borrow the Kindle and read, and they have a library of 200 books, and they can... Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, something like that. And then of course, people can also exchange ideas. There is moments that there are times that they can spend to talk about what they learned, for instance. Another thing that is kind of popular in terms of autonomy and learning and so on is to create, are you familiar with the term guilds? Guilds?
Yes.
G-U-I-L-T-S, guilds. What's the Russian for guilds? Or Ukrainian? Hildia. Yeah, Hildia. It's basically a community of practice. Okay? Because the thing is, you have teams, right? One team, you have another team. And let's say that these teams are self-organizing teams, meaning that they have certain level of autonomy and so on and so on and so on. Yeah. Probably, let's say that here you have a UX person, and here you have a UX person, and here you just have developers with no UX because it's a backend system. Okay, and then you have developer here, developer here, and then developer here. And you might also have, I don't know, designer, here, and here. Okay, something like that. Good. The teams is where they belong to. Okay, so let's say that this one is the evil team. Okay, and these guys are the minions. And these guys are the thinkers. Okay? There are three teams: minions, evil, and thinkers, which was that area then.
They're here.
Okay, good. A guild is something like that. All these guys here. Remember the thing about identity? Okay? These guys here, they share the same technical skills. Okay? And these guys, even though they belong to different teams, they share the same technical skills. Okay? So here, you could have a UX guild. And here, you could have the dev guild. Okay? And the same for the yellow guys. Okay? And the same here. So what's the purpose of a guild? Is to be a community that shares knowledge and experience inside the community, even though they belong to different teams. And if you do so, in terms of motivation, what you get if you create a guild? Which of the three motivators you are activating? Mastery, because they learn from each other, they get better every day or every once in a while. Okay? Also autonomy. Because the guild could decide when they meet, for instance. The guild could say, okay, we meet every Wednesday afternoon at 4, or twice a month. Okay, every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. we meet. Okay, and that's their own decision. They can decide what they want to talk about when they meet. Okay. In fact, with one of my clients, we've created this guild, and they have the guild has a board. On the board, everyone can make proposals about what they want to talk about the next time they meet. Okay? And that depends on the projects, depends on what they're facing at the moment, and so what they've read on the book club. Okay? They decide. It's their own space. Okay, so you have autonomy and you have mastery. Okay. And people like that. People like that. To have this kind of ability to develop. So, yeah, these are called guilds. Many of the concepts that I'm talking to you about, of course, come from different sources. The one who, let's say, the first one who officially started talking about guilds, as far as I know, is Henrik Nieberg, and he's the lead coach in Spotify. Okay. And then Jürgen Appel, in his Management 3.0 book, started talking about business skills. So, okay, let's do this. When you go out of the room, on that sticky up there, there's my note, my name and my email address. If you're interested, send me an email, and I can send you a document with a bunch of references about many of the things that we talked about. Okay? Because I have this list of videos, books, websites, and so on that you can check out if you are interested in self-organization. But anyway, guilds, they come from Henrik Nieberg, and then Jürgen Appel wrote a book. The concept of purpose, mastery, and autonomy comes from different authors, but Daniel Pink is the one who makes that really visible. Okay, so what time is it? Because I removed my watch.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yes. Expectations. I remember that when we started, after the break, somebody... So are you happy with the real-life stories? You want to learn more?
Yeah, I'd like to hear one more story for the case when you give people freedom and they become a dictator.
Okay, so what to do when people abuse of the freedom and they...
For example, late comers. They basically abuse the characters.
Oh, you have a suggestion? Yeah?
We have daily stand-ups at 12 a.m. or p.m. And we have 2 latecomers, and in order to set them on their place, we have punishment in amount of 50 hryvnias. And every time you games after 12, you put 15 hryvnias in our team bank. And quite often, it's like 1 per week, we are buying some block of bounty sneakers for the whole team. And it works. Like, people are not late too often, and if they are late so that we must wait for them, we are waiting with some sweets.
Everyone is fat now.
Yeah, they gained 5 kilos each. Okay, so that's a strategy. Huh?
Besides the punch.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe it's better to first rise up amount, and second one to not share all the sweets in the team, because latecomers as well eat all the sweets, but just give all money to the most responsible who comes early, the best one. So maybe it's a motivation. And
If money motivation is bad type of motivation.
but you can give all sweets to that person.
And then I will separate my team, because latecomers will feel that they are not a part of the team. And such a huge type of punishment will influence on the ecosystem of the team.
So what's the result? You have latecomers and sweets, yes?
Yeah.
This is not a solution.
Yeah, and the more latecomers, the more sweets.
Yeah, in fact.
No, but that's if this strategy works for you, you're okay. Because the thing is, there is, as you said,
you didn't fix that issue.
Yeah, but even if you did, my point is, there is no right answer to these things. Then again, there is no right answer. The best thing you can do is you can try different strategies. So the best thing is to, at the first retrospective, ask the team, okay, so we are never able to start the stand-up on time with everybody present. What can we do? What can we try? And you try to make a group decision. Now, things that I've learned, that's one thing that I've seen. One is like yours. Another possibility is you let the team decide at what time the stand-up should be. Especially the latecomers. So you ask the latecomers, so you're always late. Should we change our time? Okay? And then you tell us at what time you will be there.
So
they take responsibility. Okay? It's your decision now, and so we expect you to fulfill your words. Okay? So if you tell that, I'll be there at 12:15, okay. Then of course you try, and if it doesn't work, you try something different, but that's another approach. So you give the responsibility to them. Other things that I've seen, another thing that always works is to, but frequently works, is to make everything visible. So, for instance, I have like a calendar and start putting a cross mark on every day where you started on time. Okay? For every day in which everybody was present on time, you cross it. Okay? And then you bring it to retrospect. You see, last month we started on time four times. Is that good? Can we improve it? Okay, let's try it. Make it visible. Not visible to everyone, not visible to the manager. Visible to everyone. Okay, visible to everyone.
I have a question regarding the motivation.
Yes.
What to do when the people are really good at work, trying hard, but at some point of time they're just too tired, so burned out. And how to motivate those people within your team? Yes, not just to say change the project. Yes, how to make those people feel comfortable and to continue such a good work. And the second question, what to do is, in case you are in this position when you are just tired of taking all the responsibilities, how to motivate yourself.
Delegate responsibilities
within this project, not to go out and change your work.
Okay. So when you say you have someone specific in mind, like yourself, for instance?
I'm saying as a manager, when the manager is tired and everyone feels that, so what to do, how to motivate yourself, not only manager, but if you're just an engineer and you are demotivating, it demotivates everyone. So if you are feeling that you are demotivated, how to motivate yourself? And as a manager, when you see that somebody is demotivated, how to help to find the right motivation? So it's two questions.
Okay. Let's start with the last one. So my first question would be, how come that you are so burned out? Because I would try to fix the root cause first. Okay. So if people are frequently burned out, there's something deeper that probably you want to look at and try experience. Regarding your question, how can I get back some of my motivation? I'd like to ask that to the group. So the question is, what do you do generally when you are stressed out and burnt out and you need to get back some of your enthusiasm?
Rest.
You rest?
Change the way of activity which you do. So if you are not able to do the rest, change such a difference.
Okay, so one at a time, because I really need to I want to give some suggestion to this lady. So from this table, do you have any suggestion? What do you do to regain some of the enthusiasm?
Change activity.
Change activity, okay, when it's possible.
Yes.
When it's possible, change activity, okay. Any suggestion from this group? Not at the moment. From that group?
Sometimes you just need to change the place where you go.
Change the place?
Yes, go
Okay.
to another room.
Take a vacation.
Yeah, or take vacation, rest. Did you say something?
Do something for yourself. Pay more attention on your hobby. Sometimes you can
Maybe more?
On your hobby, on your own hobby, not just work. Sometimes you can see more energy
Okay.
instead of work.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from this area?
Some relaxing activity,
I'm sorry?
yoga, I mean some relaxing activity.
Okay.
Painting.
Okay. Yes.
When I have like last like I become motivation. So it is because like something is not okay. Like something I see a lot of bad things in the process, in the people, I don't know, in everything. And then I try to find something good. So if you see like these good things, for me it is like a way to come back this motivation, because I know to to understand how I can change this. This is because of seeing something good. And I suppose something else, but I forgot. So okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And that's, yes.
Maybe try to understand what is like demotivate you, yeah, and then make some kind of retrospective yeah, for yourself, and then probably you can understand where is the problem is, yeah, and change activity, go to vacation if you can,
Okay.
or just try to delegate some tasks which are like boring for you, and take some another responsibilities which like will be more interesting for you, and this
Thank you.
should help.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Okay, I think if you are demotivated, it means that you are doing something wrong. And you just need to think, is it you, or is the problem something else? So just define the problem and deal with it. Not deal with it, but fix it, basically.
Yeah, find the reason.
And actually the main problem is to find the problem. And in order to find it, you need to have a rest, get relaxed, and to think in a quite simple way.
Yep. So, thank you. Another suggestion that I can make, this is one, it can also be useful to the people. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, they're called the core protocols by Jim McCarthy, core protocols. Okay, you might want to check it out. Now the core protocols, they can become a religion if you, it's up to you. I mean, they can become like a religion. But if you take them more lightly, they are useful ways to promote cooperation inside the team. One of the core protocols is called check-in. Okay? Check-in, like flight or hotel, check-in. And it means that every time you get together as a team, like for instance for a stand-up or for a meeting, whatever, every time you get together, you do a quick round and you ask every person to tell which is their disposition when coming into this meeting. And since you don't want this to be complicated, we usually try to, let's say, simplify it to 4 possible states, which is mad, sad, glad, and scared. Okay, meaning, yes, I'm coming into this meeting and I'm mad, I'm very angry, okay, because of something. Or I'm coming into this meeting. Oh, of course, the answer is related to the meeting. Okay, so I'm coming into this meeting and I'm sad, or what's sad? Glad. I'm glad, and I'm scared, or worried, or whatever. The check-in has 2 effects. First of all, it breaks the ice. It breaks the ice because at the very first beginning, everybody says something. Immediately. The first thing we do is everybody speaks. Okay? It's not like you go into a meeting and then someone starts talking and everybody's silent for 15 minutes and only one person is speaking. The moment you enter the meeting, everybody starts talking because you asked this question. And the second one is that you get a feeling of how things are going. So if you go into this group here and say, so okay, let's do a check-in. So how about you? Glad, mad, sad, scared? Scared.
Scared.
Scared?
Good.
Glad?
Glad that you're scared.
Yeah? You?
I don't know.
No, come on, pick one. The closest one.
Okay,
Glad. Okay.
happy.
Glad?
Glad. Good.
Okay. And I'm glad as well. So in this case, we have 7 glad people and 2 scared people. Okay? That's a good information. That's a good information. First of all, it's a good information to know how to deal with that meeting. And second, it's a good opportunity for asking, okay, what's going wrong? What's going wrong?
So, and once I got this information that somebody is scared, do we need to talk about it? And put aside the purpose of the meeting? Or
No.
do we need to talk it afterwards?
No, never put aside if it is something you can communicate very quickly, you do it at the moment, but you never lose the focus of the meeting. But that would be an
So to
opportunity.
work with this information. So
Yes,
I
we-
have 3 people that are scared
Yeah.
after the meeting to talk to them.
No, what I'm saying is that this is an opportunity for you to start talking about yourself. You could go into the meeting as a manager or as an engineer, because the next level is to describe briefly how you are. And you go into the meeting and say, you know guys, I'm really burned out. I'm really tired today. I'm sorry. Okay? Just telling this to your team, I'm sorry, today I'm really tired, I'm really burned out. I had a lot of work to do the last couple of days, and my energy level is very low. Just tell it to your people, trust them. Okay? Maybe you may even get support. Even. Okay? Yes, you wanted to say something.
When you're talking about somebody who is scared and everything else, like there is a good thing like one-to-one meeting. When you are like coming into some room and there are only 2 of you, with the main idea it's like give 10 minutes to people to talk. And they will tell you their problems, and then you will have at least 10 minutes to talk your position and your point of view. And the last 10 minutes it's general, and it's like your minutes to summarize what were this like one-to-one about. And the main idea is like all subordinated stuff is going outside. When you're sitting there, you're sitting just like two friends maybe.
It's a protected environment. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Sophie, my timekeeper, how are we doing?
5 minutes.
Do you need to do anything at the end with these guys, or do you need to...
I just need to tell them that we have lunch
Okay.
at 2 o'clock
So
on the second floor.
I can do it. I have the microphone. I can help you. Lunch is served on the 2nd floor at 2 p.m.
Thank you.
My pleasure, which is 5 minutes from now. Anything else that I can do for you? We have 5 minutes left. Just remember, well, my email address is very simple, Andrea@Provaglio.com. It's next to the door. So if you want to email me later and ask questions. Did we leave anything else on the table? Is there anything else? Because regarding my own backlog, there was one last item, which is personal responsibility, which I'm not going to talk about. It's, you know what backlogs are, You don't necessarily empty the entire backlog. Okay? And the things that are last for a reason, so they're not so important in this context. Yes?
I wanted to thank you, because this workshop was rather interesting for me. I heard something new, something useful. I think I will use this information in my work. That's why I'm grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That's very nice of you. Thank you very much. So I take it you're hungry. Okay, it was a pleasure for me as well. You've been a very pleasant group to work with. Enjoy the rest of the Saturday.